Hey guys! So, I'm gonna be doing things a little differently for this video. For one, I will be narrating the video as I watch it. It's all in the spirit of Inktober. I want to get better at digital art, so I'm not going straight back to traditional art already. So I figured, hey, why don't I just try something different? That's what Inktober is all about, is digital artists trying traditional art, and it kind of makes sense that a traditional artist would try to just get better at the digital art. So I figured not only would I focus on trying to get better at digital art, but I would also try different means of, sketching and different styles. There is this style that I have always been kind of bewildered by, the shapes style. You know how if you've seen any of my videos, you'll see me very meticulously planting out, like, this sort of stick figure skeleton with ball joints and stuff. There are other artists, and I'm sure you've seen them around, who use shapes instead, and, so I thought, well, why don't I give that a try? So I looked at some of the things around me to find something to sketch, and I decided on my dog, QT. Now, that is the letters Q and T, not the word cutie. Because, she's way too cool to just be called QT, okay? Or cutie, whatever. I'm going to try to do this in one take. So she's a Pekingese. She's 7 or 8 years old. She's a little oddball and a bit of a badass. She's very sweet, very gentle and placid, but she has this sort of side to her that's kind of surprisingly freaking cool. She loves cuddles, she loves to play outside, and I think that drawing her out in a sort of garden area, just for one, the colors, I love them. The colors complement her fur very well. And it just seems like a place where she'd be happy, because every time we go out, she loves to roll around in the grass and the flowers and stuff, so I guess, story time. Surprise. So, QT has this best friend. She's a chicken named Gertrude. She runs around my property. I'm not sure who she was originally, but I guess she's mine now, because Gertrude and QT are basically inseparable by this point. They walk together, they eat together, they sleep together. I have actually caught them, like, curled up together on the porch at night when I got home. It's like, oh, aw, I wish I had a picture of it. It's so adorable. But yeah, QT acts like Gertrude's bodyguard, which is also cute, but still kind of terrifying for two reasons. For one, nobody wants to get on the bad side of a Pekingese because their eyeballs just stare at you. But also, QT is a small dog, and Pekingese have enough health problems as it is without getting into fights all the time. So I'm constantly worried, and I try to keep an eye on her all the time when she's outside playing. One time, I looked away for a second, and she tried to take on the neighbor's pit terrier because it tried to snap at Gertrude. Luckily, the pit terrier was a coward, and nobody was hurt. I didn't have to run and grab the hose or jump in between. But yeah, lesson learned that day: do not fuck with Q. So, for the coloring, I'm also going to be trying something different in this video. I'll go into that in a little while when I actually get started coloring. I've been doing a lot of research on different things and different methods with digital art because I'm not nearly as good as I want to be. I want to be a professional digital artist, not because, oh, it's cool and, oh, I can make videos, but because there are so many mediums where digital art is a lot more conducive to productivity than traditional art. Traditional art, I'm a coffee drinker. I spill some coffee on my canvas, and it's like, well, shit, that entire several hours of work is now destroyed. As opposed to digital art where, yeah, if you spill coffee on your tablet, it is a horrible thing. And that's like $90 plus down the drain. But if you make a mistake, or if you ruin something on the program, no biggie. You can just hit Control-Z. So, yeah, I want to be better at traditional art. Of course, everybody does. But digital art is my main focus right now. I have a lot of incentive to do better at digital art. I have friends who are game developers and stuff. They're like, hey, I want you to do work for my game. And it's like, well, I want to get better at digital art, you know, so that I don't let you down. Because that would be the last thing I'd want to happen, is for them to trust me with something so important to their livelihood, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, my game looks horrible because you suck. Yeah, what was that I said in my first local video about self-esteem and anxiety issues? Okay, so I'm going to go into the coloring here, because you'll see a whole bunch of green. Like, just green freaking everywhere, not even where it's supposed to be. I was going to try something different with coloring. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll see that I usually work in patches of color. This time I had read some professional digital artist tricks on, like, DeviantArt and Perfinity. I don't think I really understood them, because to this day, I can't explain what I thought I was going to be doing with all this green everywhere. For some reason, I thought this would work out. And then I got about halfway through, was like, oh wait, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And, I figured, well, I'm already halfway through, I'm gonna finish this. I think it was something about, preserving opacity and using the selection source option. You can't see it in the video because I kind of crop out my layers thing, because I prefer it centered, and I prefer to keep things simple looking. And to add on all the layers and shit, well, it would either infuriate people because I'm doing everything wrong, or it would just confuse people as to why I'm clicking on all these layers. But there is a check mark you can poke that says, that, like, basically makes sure that you cannot color out of where you've already colored on a layer. Which is really freaking cool. I just don't know the full extent of how to use that. There's also a thing you can select called selection source. I have no idea how to use that. I have absolutely no idea. I know less about selection source than I do about opacity, and I just figured out how opacity even works and what it does. But yeah, so while I'm fumbling around with these colors, and as you can see right here, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do what I always do. Going right back to my comfort zone. So, another story, I guess. So Pekingese are vulnerable to proptosis. It's because their eye sockets are shallow, and it makes them vulnerable to a lot of eye problems. The biggest thing is they pop out. Not all the time, of course. QT has only experienced it once, but the one time was scary enough. I don't ever want to see her in that state again. It was frightening and worrying, and I was so... I was in a panic. Because, like, I called my mom, and my mom was like, oh, well, I guess you'll have to put her down because, you know, you can't afford the surgery. And I was like, no, we can't put her down. And she was like, oh, well, let me pay for it. Okay. Well, we have to find a veterinarian that's cheap. I'm like, oh, god damn it. So, yeah, it was a harrowing experience, but, like, we eventually were able to find a surgeon that was willing to do it for a discounted price. He was I wish I remembered his name because he really deserves a shout out. But he runs this Pekingese rescue service, kind of. And because people will get these peaks thinking, oh, cute Fluffy! And then their eyes pop out, or their teeth break, or their hips don't work, and they're like, oh dear Jesus. Pekingese also sometimes suffer from seizures. There was another Pekingese I knew who, he was a really gorgeous boy, but he suffered from seizures, and it was tragic, the final years of his life, because he was in so much misery. But anyway, so Q got in a tiff with my sister's dog one time, and, you know, somebody snapped, somebody jumped, and bloop, proptosis. So, once we got the surgery, she came home, and she was heavily medicated. Like, we had to keep her on so many pain meds and antibiotics, and, we had to keep a watch on her because she was constantly, like, trying to rub her eyes on, like, the table legs and stuff, because the cone of shame can only prevent so much. Like, she couldn't claw at the stitches, but she could rub her eye on the table leg, because the cone, for some reason, like, okay, so Pekingese have flat faces. I think that was the problem. Somebody didn't account for the fact that Pekingese have flat faces. But yeah, so she was on a lot of drugs, and we were like, okay, well, she can't really go too far, because she can barely walk. She's completely drugged out of her gourd. So we'll just set her on the front porch, let her enjoy the weather, watch the neighbors, you know, bark at the birds, whatever. Let her enjoy herself while she's riding this wave. So I went back inside for a second to do something. I don't remember what. By the time I came out, she was gone. And of course, I panicked. I was like, okay, shit, where is my dog? And she's already, you know, she's heavily medicated. She can't go far, but I can't find her anywhere on my property. This is bad. And she could get hurt, like seriously hurt. And she's already hurt. I don't want her to get even more hurt. So I went running everywhere trying to find her, and finally, I find her at the far end of my neighbor's yard, and we live on, like, half-acre lots. So this is a long distance for a little dog. But there she was, just sitting there wagging her tail on the far side of my neighbor's house, like, hey, look, I found these vines with morning glories, aren't they pretty? I think there's a bird's nest up there. Something's chirping. I immediately took her inside and did not leave her out on the porch again. I don't know how she managed to truck that far out on so many antibiotics and stuff, but miracles happen, I guess. So, yeah. That's QT in a nutshell. She will find ways to defy the laws of physics, the laws of reality. She can bend time and space to her will because she is a cute little monster who she's adorable. I can't help it. So yeah, I might add a background later on to this. There's so many beautiful flowers in my backyard that I didn't include in this piece of art, and I would really like to include them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just let me know if you want to see this more often. I'm not sure how often I'll be able to record vocals because it is, you know, noisy outside and inside the house. The walls are paper thin, so... But I will try for you. Join my Discord, let me know what you think, let me know what you want, and I will try to dutifully supply it as your entertainer. But yeah, again, I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope you had a good laugh at my expense at trying all of these different things. I think, for what it's worth, this piece came out pretty good. And yeah, finishing touches here. See ya!